Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature, and today I am going to touch on a topic that has been very near and dear to me for a long time, or at least the lack thereof. And today we're going to talk about frog mages. Yes, frog mages. Now, for many a year, I have always wanted to own my own Slan frog mage on a palanquin, on his floaty chairs, Lord Kroak, whatever the case may be, but I have never had one. They're always so dang expensive. So I do have that 3D printer, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of knockoff floaty frog mages, but I need something that really suits me. And so today I thought I'd show off a couple of my, somewhat recent acquisitions. They've been released, in the last year or so, but I'm incredibly slow about getting things on video, and well, if you're not familiar with it, then congratulations. Maybe this will spur you towards finding something new, right? So yeah, I want to talk about the very first one that I think is just the easiest, best get up and go, get started playing, and that is the Frog Mage that One Page Rules put out as part of their Saurian Guardians. Simple, efficient, nicely sculpted, and to the point. It's not overtly elaborate. You can see I did a poor job priming it. I used a weird blue resin at the time. But it gets the job done. It's nicely sculpted. And hopefully you can get it off the print bed much better than me. He is floating, so if you actually have him on a base, which I probably should do, there's enough presence there, and you get the idea that he's floating. He is quite a swarthy and girthy fellow, so understandable if he's not, flying high up in the air or something. He does look pretty decent when you actually have other Saurus warriors in attendance. Of course, if you're going to be rolling with some one-page rules Saurians as it is, might as well have some one-page rules Saurians out there, right? So let me grab a couple to show you guys some. So let me just grab some stuff. Originally, I gotta say, real quick, so this is a absolutely horrible print job, but most of the Saurus stuff was originally released all in individual bits. If you wanted to print them up, you still can. I did a terrible job with that, and that's why those are all sitting in pieces. But eventually, quite some time ago, One Page Rules actually ended up putting out everything in single-piece printable sculpts. Now, these are a bit old on my end, so I apologize. There's some print errors here and there. These are the Guardian types. You can see much bigger on a 40mm base. Here's a basic Saurus. Doesn't look exactly like other companies out there, thankfully. Another of the Guardians. And they have the more smaller lizard types, and I ruined his feathers somehow. I broke this guy's fingers off. You know what's funny is I've got so many different types of lizards from so many different companies at this point that eventually, when things are looking safer and nicer out there, I am going to actually sit down and organize up a nice and cohesive army. So you can see One Page Rules definitely has you covered in terms of lizards, but getting back on track with just our magic using frog friends. The next one that I wanted to point out to everybody is one of the models that came from not Archvillain, we'll get there, Artisan Guilds. Artisan Guild had King Zgracker the third, I think. He was part of their Swamp Garunda lineup. And the Garunda were a pretty cool set. So here we have the actual mage. Now, this is quite an older release, and I did a terrible job, and you can see he's all blotched and horrible looking, but for the most part, that's not going to matter. He has got this awesome, fabulous chair. Now, one thing that does bear mentioning, if you have access to all this stuff, if you wanted, hypothetically, what you could do is print out one of these frogs and then set them in a separate chair. Definitely an idea right there. So King Zgracker has this really fantabulous looking throne that perches on this big, massive floating, flying base. So you can see once he's in there, he definitely has a height advantage to the point that we can't even really see him on camera. You're a big boy up there, aren't you? Yes, you are. So if that's an issue for you, if you need somebody that's definitely going to be, rocking it way high up, something to think about. Now, for the most part, the Swamp Grunda, if I'm remembering the name correctly, were mostly frogs. They had some really cool, hero scopes like this, but they had some... I mean, if you wanted to substitute in a whole bunch of frogs instead of lizards, actually, that might be kind of cool. There was enough stuff in that set from Artisan Guild. You could do it. They had big, bulky, Kroak-style lizards as well, so something to think about there. Now, I did start to mention Archvillain Games. They had some recent ones with their Claws of Ziskull, or the Old World Agama, or something like. I don't remember what the official title was. I'm sorry. I watch and look at so many different things online that it all unfortunately blurs together at points. But they had some awesome looking lizardy reptile froggy mages. Look at this guy. He's just like, come at me, bro. Now, they all use the same base. This is one of the acolytes of Ziskull. So you can see he's not as big, he's not floating, but definitely he's still going to be quite the impressive looking model on the tabletop. Interesting thing with him too is there's actually 3 other versions. 2 others on foot, and the ones that are on foot, one of them is like casting a spell, and then the other looks like he's either blowing bubbles or hitting a magic bong, and all the rest is like blowing out magically. It looks funny, but it looks pretty cool too. I'm really tempted to end up printing them all, but it's like, how many frog mages do I need? And I know one of you is probably going to say as many as possible, which is true. I mean, I don't want to deny myself a bunch of fat flying lizard, reptile, amphibian types. And I mean, at least these guys have giant lizard T-Rex people for backup, in addition to all the other giant dinosaurs that I have yet to show off, or maybe I have and you just haven't seen that video yet. But those are just the regular acolytes. So the regular acolytes, they answer to the high priest. And now, if I have not seen a more fantabulous, flamboyant, over-the-top frog amphibian mage in some time, this guy seriously takes the cake. So here is the high priest. Let's see if I can ever so gently slide everybody out of the way. I can. Excuse me, gents. So first off, I am amazed and impressed that I got this off the print bed in pretty much one piece. You can see there's just absolutely tons of detail on this guy. Crazy headdress. He's got a fly in his hands, and all of its legs are still intact even, believe it or not. There's 2 versions of this guy, one with his mouth open and the tongue flipping out, and then the closed mouth one that I have. Now you can see he obviously is supposed to be sitting somewhere. I wonder where that's supposed to be. Check out this guy's throne. Now, first of all, it's in 2 pieces. I haven't put it together yet because it's going to be just a massive, amazing looking seat, other than the fact that it looks like a wicker chair. It died out in the 70s, I thought. He does use actually the same base as the regular acolyte, so you can see it kind of just sits on top of this, but I mean, you can basically use any base you've got. As I knock over everything, and I remember, yeah, he needs to sit a certain way. He can't sit straight in his seat. The headdress has to be going off to the side like that. Now, I mean, hypothetically, what you could do is, once you've got all that put together, you could just stick some kind of support rod if you wanted to have him actually flying around. That's definitely an option. I mean, if you wanted to just stick him on a regular base, I think there's enough contact point. You can see here, he's sitting pretty nicely on it right now. I think with just the grandeur of what he's rocking here, I feel like it should be a little bit higher off the ground. So I might print up another one of these bases, just to show his buddies what's what. But again, just very wild, very ornate, and I think by the time you get this thing painted, even if you're a so-so painter like I am, there's definitely a lot of options for a lot of color to be had there as well. And finally, I have another one actually I wanted to point out to you guys. Now this guy doesn't look as nice if he's not on his actual base, just due to how he's standing and the way his robes look. I came across Clay Beast Creations recently, and they've been doing some lizards as well. And what I found interesting was they were doing kind of like a Seraphon Lizardman army with a more sci-fi look to the armor. So this is their Eternity... Oh god, what was it called? The Eternity Watcher. That's what it was. So here, I'll show you off his chair to begin with. And again, that's one of the cool things is these chairs, for the most part, everybody's are basically, you know, totally separately printable. Even the one-piece rules guide, you don't have to print him all as one piece. You can print just the chair separately if that's something you're into. I think you could absolutely put a support pin in there and have it floating around. I haven't even shown you the lizard or frog or whatever he is. So he's got an interesting look going on. Ornate armor. I know I showed off before one of the lizards from Clay Beast, but I thought it was kind of cool. It looks very sci-fi. Obviously it would help when he gets glued into that chair, but they had a neat way of holding it up. Was they had a bunch of like psychic energy that kind of cradles everything, and I have yet to figure out, well, I guess like that sort of kind of, and then put that on a base. Well, it's stable. That's a good sign. Can I turn it without it falling? That is a question. I guess so, for the most part. So you can see, I think if you're more brave than me and don't mind, you know, very thin-looking stuff holding up that chair, the chair is not hollow, so that's why I'm kind of concerned. But hopefully, maybe if there's enough contact points, it'll stay sturdy. I haven't made up my mind how I'm going to finalize keeping him up. Like I said, at the very least, with our high priest here in his crazy getup, I'm probably at the very least going to give him a similar base to his younger buddy there. But overall, I gotta say, a fun few models. And that's just really, truly the tip of the iceberg. I mean, these are just the ones that I at least have in my collection currently through various Patreons that I've supported over the last year or two, whatever. Yeah, I know there's more out there. In fact, if you guys have any interesting ones that you think would be worth adding to the collection, by all means, post them down in the comments below. I would love to find out more about them. I will put links to all of the My Mini Factory pages where you can find these guys, and hopefully you will be off on your way to building up and bulking out your lizardy amphibian that's not a word, amphibianish armies in the future. I mean, these guys, you can use them for so many things anyways, besides just the obvious, you know, Lord Kroak types. But I swear, mark my words, one of these days I am going to get that Lord Kroak. I'm going to just go dump a bunch of stuff I've already painted on eBay one of these days, and I am going to get him. I will do it. Did I even show this? This is the one-page rules. This is actually one piece. One piece from one-page rules. Nice little lizard. I think it was. I don't even remember now. Anyway, with that said, this, as always, has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!